Imagine walking into a crowded room. Everyone is laughing. Everyone is debating. Everyone is trying to prove themselves with long speeches. And then another man enters. He doesn't argue. He doesn't justify. He doesn't need to raise his voice to be heard. He simply sits down and the atmosphere changes. The laughter suddenly fades. Every eye shifts. Have you ever witnessed that moment when one man's silence chills an entire room? Have you ever wondered why silence weighs heavier than 1,000 excuses? Why sometimes a person doesn't have to say a word, yet everyone grows cautious? That is not weakness. That is power. The power of someone who has nothing to prove. The power of deliberate withdrawal. The mirror of absence. Do they miss you or your utility? Machiavelli once wrote, "A prince must know how to disappear while still preserving influence. For absence, if intentional, becomes a mirror. And in that mirror, others do not just see you. They see their own dependence." Do you realize that people are not truly afraid of losing your love? They are afraid of losing their control over you. They don't miss you for who you are. They miss the feeling of being able to call you anytime. They miss the kindness you gave unconditionally. And if you're always available, always answering, always explaining just to keep the peace, then you are not loved. You are being used. How many times in your life have you said yes while your heart was screaming no? How many times have you rushed to explain yourself just so others wouldn't misunderstand? How many times have you swallowed tears just to maintain peace? And how many times after that have you asked yourself, why am I always the weaker one? Be honest. The predictable man will never be respected. The man who is not respected will always be controlled. If you believe unlimited kindness will protect you, you are wrong. It will destroy you. The choice, your worth or their convenience. So what do you choose? To continue letting others decide your worth, or to start turning silence into your weapon. When you withdraw, they don't just remember you. They begin to fear losing you. And that fear is power. Put yourself in this situation. If tomorrow you stopped explaining, stopped justifying, stopped showing up whenever they wanted, who would remain, who would panic, who would collapse in that emptiness? If you've ever been exploited for your kindness, if you've ever felt like just a tool, declare it now. Right? I'm done explaining. Not for me, not for anyone else, but for yourself. So that starting today, you kill the weaker version of you and are reborn as someone the world will never dare to underestimate. The weakness within, the chain of approval. Have you ever asked yourself, why is it so easy for others to exploit you? Why do they always come to you when they need something, but disappear when you're the one in pain? The reason is simple. Inside you still lives a weak version of yourself. A man who always wants to be liked. A man who craves approval. A man who fears disappointing others. Do you see yourself in this? How many times have you agreed just to keep the peace? How many times have you explained yourself only to prove you were innocent? How many times have you forgiven not because they deserved it, but because you feared losing them? That weak version is a chain. It has no shape, yet it drags you down, stripping you of respect in the eyes of others. The lesson of betrayal. Goodness without power is prey. Machiavelli once warned, goodness without power will be devoured. Patience without limits will be drained dry. People do not admire your sacrifice. They exploit it. They do not value your forgiveness. They see it as an invitation to betray you again. Have you heard the story of Caesar and Brutus? Caesar was hailed as a great conqueror, But he fell not at the hands of his enemies. He was struck down by the very one he called a friend. The moment Caesar gasped, "Et tu, brute," was not only physical pain. It was the moment he realized blind trust had killed him. How many times in your life has a Brutus stabbed you in the back? And how did you react? Did you cry? Did you explain, or did you swallow in silence and allow others to exploit you again? Remember this. Every time you explain, you tear off your own armor. Every time you seek approval, you hand them the rope to bind you. Every time you trust a promise, you give them the key to betrayal. The solution, becoming unbreakable. So, what's the solution? You don't need more strength. You only need to eliminate what makes you breakable. Stop explaining. Stop seeking approval. Stop believing loyalty is forever. Imagine if starting tomorrow you never justified a single decision. If you only said "this is my choice" and stayed silent, how would people see you then? Would they still look down on you, or would they begin to tread carefully? This is the first step to killing the weak version. Carve this vow with your own hand. Leave a comment. I choose fortress mind. Because if you don't kill the weak version, sooner or later it will kill you. The strategic strike. Choosing your battles. Have you ever seen someone who always has to explain themselves, always has to defend, always has to react to every insult? They look like a living target. A wall that only resists will eventually crack. Real power does not lie merely in protecting yourself, but in knowing when to stay silent and when to strike so decisively that no one dares challenge you again. Machiavelli once warned, "A wise ruler never fights on a battlefield chosen by someone else." Ask yourself, how many times have you been dragged into battles you never wanted? Napoleon never charged into confrontations his enemies prepared. He chose the time. He chose the ground. Do you dare do the same? Do you dare wait, stay silent, and then strike at the exact moment your enemy least expects? To do this, you need 3 principles. 1. Never fight on their battlefield. Let them expose their weakness. Then strike where it hurts most. 2. Become unpredictable. When you stay silent, every move you make leaves others unsettled. 3. Reward and punish coldly. Erase betrayers from your life quietly. Recognize loyalty sparingly. People don't fear shouting. They fear cold silence and sudden retaliation. Will you remain the one who only defends, or will you learn to attack like a strategist? If you're ready to choose your own battlefield, leave this vow: I choose my battlefield. The aura of authority, when your presence speaks. Have you ever met someone who silenced an entire room before even opening their mouth? That is the aura of power. You don't need to prove you're strong. Your silence, your stance, your gaze reminds people, do not cross him. What about you? When you walk into a room, do others feel your presence? Aura comes from the principles you hold within. Speak less, but with weight. Each word should be a sword. Never appear desperate. The more you crave, the easier you are to control. Cultivate mystery. Let people guess. Mystery breeds fear, and fear is a shield. Punish coldly. One decisive act of discipline echoes louder than 1,000 threats. Control your image, your walk, your eyes, your posture. Tell others if you're a prey or predator. Do you want to be heard or respected even before you speak? If you're ready to build your aura, leave this vow. My presence speaks louder than words. The eternal guard, the peril of comfort. Gaining power is hard, but keeping it is 10 times harder. Why do people fall from the top? Machiavelli warned, the moment you think you've won is the very moment you begin to lose. Your most dangerous enemy is the comfort you allow yourself. If you truly want to keep power, you need unchanging discipline, a protected inner circle, and the courage to never let anyone believe they own you. They will call you cold. They will call you distant. But ask yourself, do you want to be loved for your softness or respected for your untouchability? If you are ready to guard your power with eternal discipline, write this vow. I guard my power with discipline. The sanctuary of solitude, where the lion is reborn. Have you ever sat alone in silence and felt a fear of facing yourself? Machiavelli saw isolation differently. For the weak, it is punishment. For the strong, it is purification. In solitude, you discover what power you've truly held and what you've given away. People are not afraid of losing you. They are afraid of losing the service you provided. Think of Steve Jobs. His isolation after being ousted from Apple was an end. It was a forge. He returned not just as a leader, but as a symbol. Isolation doesn't take away your friends. It removes the parasites. It kills the weak version who lives for recognition. Do you have the courage to turn loneliness into a weapon? If you are ready to be forged anew, leave this vow. My solitude is my sanctuary. The final challenge. From philosophy to bone, you have walked this journey. You've seen the power of silence, the strategy of withdrawal, the necessity of an inner fortress. But what will you do with it? Will it remain mere philosophy, or will you turn into blood, into bone, into habit? For the next 7 days, choose one weak habit and cut it off. If you often justify, stay silent. If you're always available, withdraw. Every time you resist, a brick is laid in your fortress. Every day you remain consistent, another part of your weak version dies. If you're truly ready to step onto this path, write this final vow. I choose fortress. I choose power. This is not the end. Survival alone is never enough. The truly strong not only defend themselves, they force the entire world to bend to their rules. Are you ready not just to be a fortress that stands, but the one who designs the entire battlefield?